Hi everyone, my name is Melissa van Dijk, and in today's video I want to talk about something that shapes how we see our skin, which is how easily skin problems can start to feel like personal failure. Because when skincare doesn't work, we usually don't question the routine itself, but ourselves. You start wondering if you missed something, or if you weren't consistent enough, or if your skin is just difficult by nature. And I think that this reaction makes sense, because modern skincare teaches us that things should work as long as you follow the steps correctly. So when irritation or breakouts show up, it feels like you did something wrong somewhere along the way. But a lot of the time, the skin is simply reacting to something basic that's happening inside of us. Because the skin isn't doing its own thing out there, it is connected to everything else in the body. So when something shifts internally, the skin is often where it shows up first. And most of the time, that comes down to food. When our diet creates inflammation, the skin reacts. But we rarely look at it that way. Our focus stays on the outside. So we cleanse more, use stronger actives, and add more moisturizing, which usually just turns into more steps. And meanwhile, the real trigger keeps going. And when nothing improves, it's easy to assume we did skincare wrong. But I think that the bigger picture is very different. Because we've been living inside systems built around standardization and scale. One approach is meant for everyone and not for individual skin differences. And fixed routines fit that system. But our biology doesn't work that way. Skin works in its own timing, not in routines. It works on demand. It responds to what's happening in our lives, such as how we sleep, how well we handle stress, and especially what we eat. So when we use products just because our routine says so, instead of because our skin actually needs support, irritation can slowly build up over time. And once our skin becomes more reactive, constant management starts to feel necessary. And at that point, the system really does start to look correct, even though our skin was never really the issue. And that's the part that isn't great, because it quietly shifts us back into thinking the routine is right and we are the problem. But we are not the problem. The problem is the fixed routine we have been taught to follow, and the skin simply does not work that way. This is the real issue here, not us. And it is what needs to change if we actually want our skin to improve. And this is where a need-based approach comes in, because it starts from a completely different place. So instead of asking whether we did the routine correctly, we should ask what our skin is responding to right now. So for example, if there's dryness or oiliness or inflammation or irritation or a bit of sensitivity, we can support that temporarily, meaning moisturizing the dryness when it's actually there, or calming the inflammation when it shows up. But when the skin is stable or just going through a small change like a temporary adjustment, there's no biological reason to interfere. And if we do interfere, we can start to shift that balance, make things worse, and end up right back into the loop of ongoing skincare use. And I know that this can feel strange at first, because I've been there myself. For months I've genuinely thought that I was doing something wrong. But with time, it starts to feel natural, and you can actually feel your skin again and see how well it behaves when it's not constantly being pushed. And I think this is why a need-based approach matters so much, because our skin isn't dead or passive. It's alive, it's a living organ. It has a barrier, microbiome, and an immune system of its own. And when it's not being constantly pushed from the outside or triggered from the inside, it often settles on its own. So I guess the moral of this story is this. If your skin feels calmer when you do less, and you actually give it time to find its balance again, that doesn't mean you are doing something wrong. It just means you're finally responding to what your skin actually needs, which is simply to live. Now I hope that this gave you something to think about today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!